Hello, Bryce.
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Saturday.
Saturday it is, right? Yes.
Yes. So, it's funny, as I was going through and reading bio and info about the book and all, I instantly started thinking to myself, like, as I read, like, it's about old school monsters, haunted houses, and a band of friends. I thought to myself right away, Scooby-Doo. And then I saw that it kind of sounds like you were influenced by Scooby-Doo.
Right, exactly, yeah. That's funny. Well, I'm glad you see Scooby-Doo because that's one of my early time favorites.
Yeah. How could you not like Scooby-Doo, right?
Right. Agreed.
So it sounds kind of like you kind of did take take Scooby-Doo out of the equation, but that kind of world, like with the haunted houses and the old school monsters and stuff like that, and you kind of like crossed it with like a modern day feel. It kind of sounds like.
I did, yeah. I put it's definitely a modern day feel, and it involves another world as well. So the kids end up going through a portal into another world, so they end up in a completely different kind of world that's different from modern day world. So it includes that as well. So it kind of takes a little bit of a spin off there.
Nice. Now, the story, it's called the Werewolf on is it Lowre Lane?
Yes, Lowre Lane, and there's when you read the story, there's a reason why there's that kind of weird street name. It kind of plays into the story as well. So yes.
Okay. So it kind of sounds like there's like a couple of stories going on here, but where it's kind of like you got two different coming outs going on, where you have the coming out as the werewolf and the coming out as being gay, and it was like, do you think it's like such a big, you know what I mean? Like that's the big part of the story here is the coming out part.
Yeah. So I was trying to, the way I was writing it. So this is technically it's meant for middle grade readers, but the publisher I use, they don't have like a middle grade readership, I guess, category, so they put it as young adult. But it's really for younger adults. So I was kind of writing a story that would have a little bit of a coming out, but it's not like a elaborate or a complex coming out, but a coming out that would be a lot different than coming out gay, where the coming out gay is really not kind of seen as a big deal. It's like, oh, you're gay. Okay, well, that's great. But let's talk more about this other thing that you just came out about, and that was being a werewolf. So I kind of play a little bit with that, and that I think that part, writing that part was fun.
Do you think which character had the harder time coming out? Is the one that came out as the werewolf, or coming out as being gay?
I think coming out the werewolf was coming out. That would be the hard. That was the hard part. And how do you kind of tell people that?
It kind of sounds too like going this route with the young adults. Kind of like you're trying to get the message across too, that it's okay, like to be gay at a young age, to be able to come out and to be more accepting of yourself and for other people to accept you.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I think where modern day, I think writing is going, as far as when talking about any kind of LGBT characters, is kind of blending it in the gayness, or if you're having a transgender character, transgender, whatever it might be. But that's just part of the story, and maybe that plays a little bit into the plot. But that's not the main plot. The plot is, whatever the story's about. In this case, it's about the kids trying to find Dylan's aunt, who's a prisoner in this another world. And the gay character part is more of it's just there and just being more aware of it and making. So I write for a wide. I'm meaning to write for a wide readership. So I'm just trying to expose people to having to read about a character that is gay, and
Right.
yeah.
Nice. Now, how about do you consider this more of a a horror story book? You know what I mean, or more of a where you're kind of getting the message of all that across as well?
I would say it would be. I classify it as horror. I would definitely say it's kind of the horror / dark fantasy, and then the multicultural piece of being this of the LGBT part being there as well. So the intent was really kind of focusing on the haunted house, and then the main character Colton has a crush on the American exchange student Dylan, and just kind of playing with that relationship a little bit. But the piece is about the haunted house and Dylan's aunt going missing, and they're trying to find her and rescue her from the warlock in this other world.
Now, I was going through your website as well, and I was checking out your blogs and stuff like that. And you wrote one a couple of weeks ago before the release of the book, and I thought it was kind of interesting because the story is about this werewolf, and you wrote a blog about how can you write a werewolf story and make it original. I thought that was kind of interesting because the world of werewolves and vampires and all that's been done, especially so much over the years. How can you make an original? And I thought that was really cool that you you touched on that.
Yeah, I think, and it goes back to just I think a lot of times the werewolf stories I've always seen is where you find the main character gets bit by this creature, and then you are kind of watching him transform, and he's figuring out why is he transforming and all that. And so I've kind of seen that played in different variations over different movies and whatnot. And I was thinking, it'd be very interesting to kind of say, well, the person already knows they're a werewolf, and they know this happens. How does that affect their relationships with other people around them, and how does that affect them disclosing that to certain people because they have a secret about themselves, and how do they discuss that with other people that they're close to, and how do they go about that? How do they feel about that? And I think that all comes because I'm a psychologist, so I'm really always into the mind and how does the mind work and whatnot.
Now, the whole point of the werewolf was a werewolf something that you always wanted to write about? Did you think like I mentioned too, like vampires? Did you contemplate like a vampire character at all at any point, or a werewolf, or was always the werewolf? Or
I think I've always been interested in. I've always loved werewolf, vampires, any kind of things that have dealt with any kind of monsters. Really, when I was a kid, I would be sitting when we go in elementary school, we'd go check out our books, and other people will be checking out these books about whatever it might be about Greece, or it'd be about the prince and finding the princess, whatever. But I always wanted to find the monster books, and I was trying to find that kind of stuff. So there was that aspect, and also I had just written I write adult fiction as well, and I had written a horror story that was called Werewolf Castle. Under my pen name of B. Bentley Summers, and so I had written about that, and after I'd written that, I was just wanting to write something that would be for real young kids that they could read, and would be kind of a fun story.
Nice.
As well.
And you started writing back in 2011, but it seemed like you didn't start with books initially. I guess maybe like short stories or something, or.
Let's see. In 2011, I was writing. I've been writing basically a nonfiction piece. It's called Queer Sense. It's just basically a new, I would call like a new sexual gender identity kind of model. Really looking at how we form attitudes through our culture, looking at role models and how we connect to those role models and how we use language. And so that's basically what I started writing in 2011, and I was kind of focusing on that, and then I kind of spun off of that and wrote some fiction, and then those stories, maybe I guess, were short stories, 40,000 words, and I self-published those. And then at some point, I started getting books that I got accepted to traditional publishers.
Oh, nice. Wow. So now, how about I saw you also have a few more books in the works as well. It sounds like
yes.
you're constantly with books in the works over here.
I do, yes. My main impediment, of course, is just finding the resources I want to get them distributed and get them exposure. So yeah, the next 3 books. The one I'm really focusing on getting out is Queer Sense, because it's like a 8-year project, and I've invested a lot in getting it done. And so I'm looking at ways of, it's all done. I'm just looking at ways of how I can best get it distributed and get it out there. So that's number 1. The other 2 are, one's an adult sci-fi thriller. It's completed, just needs a little bit of a finesse from an editor. And it's about a elite soldier in America. He's a Muslim American, and his parents are taken into a Muslim camp, and at the same time he gets this ability to bend people's perceptions, and he has to use this ability to find some terrorists, and he's kind of been made out to be this really bad person. So the government wants him, and everybody wants to kill him, but he's trying to beat time while he tries to save the world and save his family. And the other book is a young adult book that will be a series, and basically takes place in the year 3000, and a boy in the year 2200 kind of goes into the future and finds that the world has really changed. It's ruled by no longer is it ruled by humans. It's ruled by these kind of robo-humans that are half humans and half people, and humans are now feral individuals. So he kind of finds himself in that world, and he ends up kind of coming under this other person named Kylik, who's a robo-human, and they kind of fall in love and whatnot. And we go off from there.
Cool. Very cool. Busy. busy. Now, something too, like I noticed, in the press release that you was sent over to me too, like the artwork, and I thought to myself, did you ever think maybe graphic novels as well?
Oh, I would love to do that. Yeah, that would be, that was actually what I've been wanting to do. That would be my ideal thing to do, because when I was a young kid, I didn't do, of course, the drawings, but I have it's very much easier for me to see things visually than to see it written, and so I'm a very visual seer. So I was always drawing, and I was always really good at drawing, but somehow I ended up going into the writing world instead. So, but it's much easier for me to see things visually, and I can usually give an artist, like, I want you to do this and this, and it's much easier for me to see things in that light, and so I would love to do a graphic book.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool, especially with these young adult books. I think that would really be a great way to go as well with some of these stories.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. That's what I always gravitated to when I was young and a kid. I was like the comic books and the graphic artist books. I still buy them now and again when I see them. I bought one that was called 300, the one about the Greek soldiers, and then the Gunslinger by Stephen King. They put those in graphic books. I've been kind of just collecting those because I just think those are real neat.
Nice.
So I still buy them.
They seem to be the hot thing now, the graphic novels. People are sucking them up.
Yeah, I know, right? They do.
Cool. Well, all right, Bryce, where should we send everybody to get the new book and the upcoming books, and you actually have some other ones out there as well. So where can we send everybody to get all your work?
The best place to send folks right now would be my young adult website, because that should take you right directly to my publisher site, which you can buy the stuff there. I'm not sure if it's put on Amazon yet, but www.brycebentley.tales.com, and Tales is Tales, and Bryce Bentley is how it sounds, Bryce, and then Bentley like the car, and Tales.
Nice. Well, Bryce, thanks for doing this. Congratulations on the book. It is out now. It was officially released the other day on October 29th, and everybody needs to look for it. It's called Werewolf on Lowre Lane.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.